Our next plenary speaker this morning is Dr. Terry Maguire, and Terry is originally a science graduate and spent 14 years working in higher education in Scotland, where she pioneered flexible and blended approaches to teaching and learning. In 2006, she was appointed to the post of Head of Lifelong Learning with the Institute of Technology in Tala in Dublin, here in Dublin, where she was responsible for the provision of part-time students and e-learning. Terry was seconded to her current role as Director of the National Forum for the Enhancement of Teaching and Learning in October 2013, and this is the role in which many of us now know Terry very well. Today, Terry is going to talk to us about the synergies between English language education and higher education, and you're very welcome, Terry.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. I know some of you, I don't know a lot of you. And some of you that do know me are probably wondering what the hell is a maths educator doing, giving a plenary talk at an English language educators conference. And one of the things that I've learned, I suppose, over my long career in education, especially I think over the last 3.5 years, working with the National Forum, working with universities and the Institutes of Technologies, working with the private colleges, working across all of the disciplines, is that actually, we have actually more in common than we have separate. And sometimes we need to hear what's happening in other disciplines. We need to look outside our own space and to learn from it. And certainly in terms of the work of the National Forum, I think there's wonderful opportunities, both in terms of resources we've developed, approaches we've taken that cross all sectors. They cross higher education, further education, second level. And this morning, I was going to actually perhaps share some of those with you. But first of all, a little bit of information about the forum. This wheel is becoming famous, but basically what it captures is the key areas that we work on within higher education. We work on professional development, national award systems for teaching excellence. We're building a database, an evidence base about what constitutes good teaching. We're looking at building digital capacity. And most especially is we're actually trying to reach out and break down the barriers between our different sectors and our disciplines. The way that we work is that we have an enhancement theme. And all of our approaches, all of our funding, and all our focus over a 2-year period goes on a single enhancement theme. And what we're trying to do is to get the sector motivated and bring coherence around it and get that energy behind everybody thinking and talking about the same topic. And our enhancement theme for this year and next year is assessment of, for, and as learning. And what we're trying to do is to stimulate conversations around what constitutes authentic assessment in our situations, in our disciplines, and go back. It's about developing the staff and not the stuff of assessment, getting us to re-engage in these conversations. And one of the things that we fund is a national seminar series. And over the next few months, there is a number of national seminar series. I know there's one in Cork, in University College Cork, coming up, that's around language assessment. And there's 32 seminars going to happen over the next year, and all of them are around assessment. And I would urge you to be there and contribute. The other thing, I suppose, that we've just published in summer of this year is, for the first time, higher education now has a professional development framework for those who teach. And this was a tricky one, because right from the beginning, the sector was divided in terms of, should it be a framework for those who support learning, or should it be a framework for those who teach? Should it be a requirement for every person that teaches in higher education to be mandatory? Or should it be something that people opt into? And those that wanted it to opt into said, look at the Irish psyche, look at our culture. If you make us do something, we'll just give it lip service. If you want it to have real meaning, then we've actually got to get people to want to do it themselves. And what we're doing this year, just so that you know, is that even we have a number of pilots going out across higher education, and we're looking at how the framework is actually being implemented and used through the lens of the different disciplines and how they interpret it. And one of those pilots will be around language teachers. But my main focus today is on the digital world. And this digital world is giving us wonderful opportunities and wonderful headaches. And I think perhaps that this is one area where we can really learn from each other. And I think we've lots to learn. So I'm going to focus on looking at how what we have done can actually be used by English language educators over the coming months. So the first thing we did was we said, well, we need to get everybody lined up, and we need to agree how people view how we're going to build digital capacity across the sector. So we produced a roadmap, and I'll talk a little bit about that. We also said, well, we need to get people to work together. The last thing we want is everybody doing the same thing in their institution. So let's get people working together, and let's share nationally the teaching and learning approaches and resources that we're developing. And the other thing we realized is that institutions are actually struggling with, for example, policy development for a digital world. And we said, well, let's take some of that work away and let's look at it nationally, and then let's feed back to institutions some of the a framework that enables them in a much easier way to be able to develop the policies that they actually need. So our roadmap, and you'll notice as I go throughout my talk, there's a very strong transport theme has emerged. So the roadmap, yes, it's a strategy document, but it's actually written as a resource for the sector. It has 4 recommendations. Each recommendation has a number of priorities. But the way that it's actually structured is to actually be used at the departmental level, or the level of an academic unit, or the level of a discipline. And when you go into it, it says, well, do you have a strategy? Who have you talked about developing your strategy with? How digital are your staff? So what it does is it actually prompts you with different questions to help you to actually see where you're actually at. And what's happening at the moment is that our current roadmap is being mapped onto the DigComp European framework. And we're going to have a self-assessment tool for those that are in higher education available hopefully in the new year. One of the other things that we had to tackle as part of developing this roadmap was all the myths around digital learning and using technology. And I suppose what our sector said to us was that all our senior managers think that going online, going digital is going to save us money, we won't need so many resources, and everything is going to be fine. So we decided to tackle some of these myths. And we've produced a 2-pager, so you'll be able to find it on our website, that says the myth of diminishing cost. No. Online learning, there's a huge cost up front if you're doing it properly. And I think everybody needs to realize that. The myth of the disappearing teacher. If we do it all online, then we won't need teachers. We're people. We need people. The myth of the digital natives, and this one is coming really strongly across from our students, and they're saying, they all think we know what we're doing when we come in. Yeah, we're really good on social media, we're good on Facebook, but I have never formatted and structured a report in Word in my life. How am I suddenly meant to know how to do that? The myth of diminished quality. If we go online, the quality is going to be poorer. Some of the research coming out now says, especially for professional programs, the quality is actually much better. The myth is technology as benefactor. It's always good to use technology. That's definitely the answer. Technology has its place. Used in the right way, yes, technology can be transformative, can be enhancing. Used in the wrong way, bad teaching is just bad teaching. The myth of insignificance, we don't have to worry about it, it's going to go away. Nah, sorry. And then you have the other side. oh, the avalanche is coming, oh hell, what are we going to do? And I think the answers are somewhere in between. But I do think we have to talk about them. So, amongst all of this, we developed the roadmap. We put out a call to our institutions and we said, well, we need your help. So one collaboration of projects said, well, we're going to work on building digital skills of our student and our staff. And this project is called the All Aboard Project. And what they did was they gathered. They had all of these workshops, and every conference you went to, there was these little postcards, and you wrote down any digital skills you thought of, and they said, okay, we'll gather all of these. Now, a lot of the skeptics says, what are you doing it for? There's loads of approaches to digital skills already. There's about 60 European frameworks. And they said, yeah, but what they've done is they've taken out the fun and the creativity of all of this. So we needed an accessible, fun, and creative way to get our students and our teachers building their own personal confidence in their digital skills. So when they put all that stuff together, look what they found. They found they could map it. Now, the first thing you're saying to yourself, that's the London Underground, or that's a metro map. So immediately it's accessible. Each one of the lines is a different area of the framework. So if you've got the red line is communicate and collaborate, the green line is create and innovate, the purpley line is find and use, the dark blue is identity and well-being, teach and learn, tools and technologies. Now, what they've done is they've actually developed a whole resource for teachers and for students built around these stations. And it is available. It will be fully up by the end of March, and every station will have supporting materials for students to develop their skills or for teachers to develop their skills. And the approach that they've taken, which I think is quite good, is that you opt in for a travel card. And you say, well, I'm a student and I want to travel to using my smartphone or finding information on the web, whatever stations I actually want to use. You actually link into a travel card. And when you visited those stations, it's interactive. You get there's online quizzes and things. And when you're finished, you get a digital badge that says that you've actually done it. And we ran a number of programs last year called Tell Weeks, where institutions used this with their teachers, and there was huge success, 26 institutions. But you know what was scary, or what was worrying a little bit, was that when teachers were asked, what skills would you actually like to develop? I'd like to learn how to animate my PowerPoint a bit more, or better. So we have a long way to actually go, and I think there's a lot that we need to do with our teachers to build their personal confidence. And I think having resources like this available to everybody, I think is very important for doing that. One of the other models that they've actually used is they're building, using their students and staff, and building within their institutions ambassadors or digital champions that are supporting staff and students to develop their skills. And the whole sort of process of how they do that is all integrated into their website, which at the moment it's allaboard.org, and after Christmas it'll be allaboard.ie. This is when it'll be completely finished. So if the All Aboard is one approach, we also funded an approach with a different collaboration of colleges that looks specifically at using digital in terms of teaching and learning for teachers. And they developed a series of microcourses that are available on the web for everybody to use, adapt, whatever you actually want to do with them. The idea when we were setting these up is that you can customize them. You can link back with the group, and they will help you and show you how you can customize these to your own context. So we'll just have a look.
Tell You is a collection of free online courses specifically designed to help educators to get the most out of technology, which can support and enhance teaching and learning. It's a natural response to the rapidly growing complexity of technology and of learning, maintained by teachers to make sure the best, most popular content is always just a click away. Tell You features over 150 courses, each designed by experienced educators and designers and curated into easy-to-use, meaningful channels. Tell You benefits teachers and students. Our content is designed for on-the-go educators and it's easily digestible, specifically designed to save time. Use Tell You to build a personalised learning experience and to review and monitor your progress. It's your go-to resource for teaching with technology, updated every month and designed to improve the student experience. Tell You is built around real, on-the-ground experiences and case studies from real teachers. You can see for yourself just how powerful a tool it really is by signing up for free at tellyou.ne. Tell You, technology-enhanced learning for you.
It's for everybody. And that's the more generic, the building, the digital skills, building confidence, giving teachers confidence to think about how they might integrate technology into their teaching. But we've also funded a number of language-specific projects. And one of those projects is called the Digi Languages project. I'm terrified standing here talking about this project just now because our chair is actually the project lead of this project. So this is a project, again, it's a collaboration of a number of institutions. And what they're looking at specifically is language learning in a digital world. And the framework that has been used is the framework from Dudney, Hockley and Pegram. And you can see where there's a focus on design or redesign, focus on language, on connections and information. The most important part, I suppose, about this particular resource is it's built by Irish language for Irish language deliverers. So it's the context is actually here. And the languages that they're looking at are English, Irish, French, German, Italian, and Spanish. So what are they doing? So once you go into their interface, which will be online in the new year, you can actually go in as a student or you can go in as a teacher. And if you go in as either one, you get her other transport system. Now, when I asked Fiona last night, why do we have flight paths? And she said, well, it's to capture the international dimension of what we're actually doing. But each of these flight paths has a particular theme: language skills and practice, transitions and contexts, and digital literacies. And each one of these, I'm not sure their stations are there if they're flights, but each one of these stops has resources that can be used. So this one is the other side. This is for activities for teachers to use with their students. And when you click on one of them, for example, this one is online Tandem learning. You get outline of how you can use it, links to resources that you actually might be able to use. The other one that we've actually done is the project called Live and Learn in Ireland. And this actually linked to our enhancement theme of 2 years ago, which was teaching for transitions. And we were especially interested in looking at the transition of international students coming to higher education. And we said, well, how is their transition actually working and how can we support that transition better? And what we did was, what this project did, was they surveyed, I think, over 600 international students across a number of different institutions in higher education. And they asked them the kind of things that make a difference to them when they came. And some of them said, especially the American students, for example, cannot get over our grading system, that getting 70 is actually superb. They just don't realize that that's actually really, really good. Classes are less formal, less structured, and less serious than I would have been used to. So we asked lots of questions, and this is just a sample of some of the stuff that came out. We asked about social issues. Don't show up to social gatherings on time. There's fashionably late and there's Irish time. Irish people like to take the piss. Don't take it personally, just join in. Irish students don't speak in class and they're more individualistic. In France, we work as a team in class. Some of the other stuff that really worried them was the practical things. Where do I buy clothes that fit me? That isn't the children's department. Where do I buy clothes for all the rain that's in Ireland? You have to ask for your plastic bags when you go to your groceries. Healthcare in Ireland is difficult to navigate. Where can I buy timetables for the buses? So some of the things that they wanted were actually quite basic stuff. So what the team did was they decided that they would actually develop an interface for students that were thinking of coming to actually study in Ireland, and it's called liveandlearnireland.ie. In terms of all the data that we collected from the international students, the National Forum is producing a sort of a briefing report that captures all of the research that they actually did, and that will be available hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's in drafted just now, it just hasn't gone to the final formatting stage just yet. So let's just have a quick look. Let's just have a quick look at Live and Learn in Ireland. So this is the interface when you go into it, and I'm just going to go out here and come across here. Sorry. So one of the things that they did was about learning accents. So one of the resources they've put up is this map of Ireland. And
here you will see a basic map of Ireland. In order to get used to some of the accents where you'll be living, and to get a sense of the stories and music of where you're living, you might think about listening to some of the local radio stations. This map has links to the local radio stations nearest to where you'll be living. Moving clockwise around the country, you've Belfast Radio Ulster, Dundalk FM in Dublin, KFM Radio in Kildare, KCLR FM, the radio station for Kilkenny and Carlow, Tip FM for Tipperary, WLR FM in Waterford, Cork's Red FM and 96 FM, Radio Kerry, Shannonside, Northern Sound, Clare FM, Galway Bay FM, and in Donegal, Highland Radio. You can click on each of these to listen to the live radio stream. On the top right-hand corner, you will see an information marker. Hover over this to have a look at some other national and Irish radio stations. In the Irish language, we have a saying, Céad Míle Fáilte, which means 100,000 welcomes. And judging by the comments of some of the international students in our survey, this is their experience. However, click on each of these to find out what else the students wanted to know. While you may find English a difficult language to master, or even just the Irish accents takes some getting used to, it's also useful to know how Irish people interact with each other. Click on the tabs to find out more.
okay, so as part of the website, there's an academic, a social, and a practical interactive material like this that they have developed based on the actual resources and the research that they got from their actual students. And in terms of the some of the national work, so that just gives you a flavour of, I just have to work my, I got it. Okay. So in terms of resources, I hope it's given you sort of a taste of some of the stuff that's there. There's lots more there. There's lots of information on feedback. There's information on professional development for leaders and digital champions. So I would urge you, please, to go to our website and have a look at some of the stuff that's there. And just, if learning analytics, some of our national projects, learning analytics, for example, is we're looking at how can learning analytics support teaching and learning. And for those of you that are interested, our first symposium is actually on the 8th of December, and it says, well, learning analytics, what's it all about? How can we use it? It's a start of the conversation. And as part of this project, we're actually going to develop Orla, which is an online resource for learning analytics, which is to build capacity and understanding in the sector around how you can use learning analytics. I've already talked about the enabling policies. We'll have frameworks for institutions to develop the policies that they'll need to teach and learn in a digital world. And we're particularly interested in open access and OER. And again, we have national projects that are looking at this and seeing how we can develop that further. And I suppose the most important thing from my point of view is that we continue to learn from each other and support each other. and we start thinking of our students as our students and their students. They're all our students. And I think we need to work together to enable them to be as good as they can be. Thank you a million.